Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and Infogalactic News. So a lot of people are talking about the latest developments in the mystery of the apparent murder of Seth Rich. Cernovich has been talking about it. You're seeing it all over the place, of course. The thing is that, just like Pizzagate, just like everything else, you're seeing all of this being dismissed as conspiracy theory. Now, it's entirely possible that the fact that Seth Rich was apparently the source of the WikiLeaks emails was not related to his death. It's entirely possible that all of the CCTV camera footage on the streets, at the hospital, on the body cams of the police, etc., will reveal that there's nothing out of the ordinary. Washington, D.C. is a fairly violent, high crime area, and so it's entirely possible that there is no there. We don't know. But on the other hand, we truly don't know that nothing happened. I mean, it is absurd. It is absolutely absurd to claim that nothing happened, that it was just simply a street crime that happened for no reason in the absence of any evidence. Who did it? If it was just a street crime, who did it? Now obviously, this isn't proving that there's no Santa Claus, because in this case, somebody brought the presents. Someone did kill this individual. And there is a lot of circumstantial evidence that does indicate that it might not have just been a simple street crime. And so the thing is that I'm not saying that it was somehow linked to the DNC. I'm not saying that it is linked to WikiLeaks necessarily. I am simply saying that it is absolutely absurd to say that it was not. It doesn't matter who backpedaled what. The point is, unless and until you have an arrest and conviction of someone, then you can't possibly say. I don't have an opinion on Kim.com's credibility. He's always a little bit iffy. No, but that's the point, is I don't know that they did it. Things happen for no reason all the time. And so, I don't take orders. More to the point, I don't really like hearing from people who don't understand that Apple iPad does not allow you to turn up your game. So if you're going to opine in ignorance or tell me what to do in ignorance, I'm just going to block you. Anyhow, okay, I don't want anything. There's already plenty of criminal activity to indict Hillary Clinton. I mean, James Comey listed the various crimes that she had committed. He simply said that he wasn't going to recommend prosecution because he didn't think there was intent. Well, apparently he must be a mind reader then, but not a very good one, because he clearly didn't see that Trump was going to fire him. Anyhow, the point that I'm trying to make is that conspiracy theory is often considered to be a way of dismissing things. But it's not correct. And if you look at history, if you've ever read say, Roman or Byzantine history, you will see that conspiracy is the normal way that man governs himself. Okay? Every time somebody gets together to say, hey, we want to change the course of the nation, it is a conspiracy. Sometimes those conspiracies are illegal. Sometimes they are legal. It doesn't matter, though. You know, if you read Roman history, they talk about the Catiline conspiracy. You know, all of it defies human nature. It defies human nature to think that these conspiracies are not happening today. The rich and the powerful and the ideological always form conspiracies to try to make changes. Now, that doesn't mean, the most obvious conspiracy theory active today is the idea that Russia is controlling the President of the United States. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I think that's absolutely nonsensical. You know, at what point did Russia begin controlling Donald Trump? Yeah, it's just absolutely absurd. And so, the other thing that people tend to forget is that they like to talk about the elite. You know, them, that sort of thing. And they forget that there are literally dozens of elite parties. These elites compete with each other. They're rivals. They're partners. You know, again, look at history. If you look at Roman history, you can see that the alliance has changed. Pompey and Caesar were the first part of the first triumvirate. They formed a conspiracy in order to rule Rome. Soon, not that long after it, after Pompey's daughter died, and they ceased to be allied, they became enemies. And in fact, fought a civil war. Caesar defeated Pompey. Pompey was murdered in Egypt. You know, that was the Roman elite, and yet the Roman elite was warring within itself. And so, the point is, conspiracies are real. Conspiracies exist. And so, what exactly they are, which ones are true, which ones are not, we don't know. And we, not being part of the elite, most of us will probably never know until many years after the fact. You know, and that's just something that we have to understand and be comfortable with, because that's part of normal human existence. Now, right now, obviously, there are numerous parties who are very unhappy with, are very unhappy with the current president. You know, they didn't want him. You know, they wanted Jeb Bush, or they wanted someone like Hillary Clinton. And so, but obviously, Trump is quite popular with some folks, like, for example, the Saudis seem to be quite happy with him. So, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen, but I think that at least with this Seth Rich thing, people have to continue to ask for answers to the questions that have not been answered. Where's the video? Poll has done a great job of tracking down things. And some of the stuff that has come out there is obviously going to turn out to be true. Some of it not so much. But the point is, the questions have been asked. and until they are and until they are answered convincingly, then it's going to, then we have to admit that we don't know. So, so that's my recommendation, is not to get overly excited about this stuff, but also not to dismiss it out of hand. Again, you don't know, you weren't there, and yes, you can build a logical case for the DNC taking revenge on someone that they felt betrayed them. Yes, you can spin a reasonable and logical story, and there is some circumstantial evidence indicating that that could be it. But that's not the same as proof. That's not the same as knowing that it happens. I like that idea. Keep calm and dig deeper. And so, is Trump holding off his online army? I think Trump is busy visiting, but that's right. Here's the thing, is that whenever the real story comes out about almost anything, it is almost always at least somewhat different than the logical assumptions that were used to fill in the blanks. For example, whenever there's a leak, the leaker is usually somebody that nobody realized had the information. Fawn Hall during the Iran-Contra being the example. And so, all this stuff that's going on, there's going to be additional details that we can't figure out. And so that doesn't mean that the overall thrust of the story is not true. But it is important to remember that you don't know. You may suspect. You may have reason to believe. I'm not a researcher. I'm just, I followed the story like everybody else. I'm just commenting my thoughts on it as somebody who has studied history fairly extensively. I have a minor in history. You can see I read a lot of history. Most of my nonfiction pleasure reading is history. The theory at hand, well, there's two. The competing theories are, number one, that Seth Rich was murdered for no reason by robbers who didn't bother to steal his wallet. Number two is that he was the leaker in the DNC who was made an example of. So, but yeah, and the big question is, where's the footage? There are at least 12 cameras that are relevant to this. So far, we haven't seen any footage of any of this stuff. Now, obviously, it's not necessarily the kind of footage that's going to be released, but it does look like, if an investigation is ongoing, you would think that we would have heard more about it. So, anyhow, that's my advice is keep an open mind, keep asking questions, and keep looking for the answers, but don't confuse your questions and your theories and your suspicions for the facts. So, anyhow, have a good evening, and we will look forward to seeing you here again soon.